today is actually a very special day. It's Buddha's birthday, and I believe that it is one of the greatest birthdays in humanity because it's about self-liberation. If you are willing to give up yourself, kind of interesting, huh? The self that you think you are, that's the self I'm talking about. And there's doesn't seem anywhere around that we have to give up the self who we think you are, because it's conditioned, it's built on fiction. And it's interesting, we're studying a wonderful book, or maybe before I began, is that there's this extraordinary picture from Bodh Gaya that one of our Polish students brought back from Nepal. And it's a picture of the Buddha statue, which the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, and the Karmapa bow to first when they go to Bodh Gaya. So it's a very rare picture. And I heard Jishin Adela, the Tenga Rinpoche, who was White Tara, says that we should go there. You know, people say you should go there. He says, urge you to go. Don't just think about it. Do it. It's different. When people watch us online, they're spectators. You have to participate in the immediacy of the moment. So also I urge you to go there because the profundity, the feeling is still there. And that's 2,588 years have passed. Anyway, so we were very fortunate to have this picture at the same time of Buddha's birth. And also there's a shrine outside. If you weren't able to attend for some reason, you could pour the water over the baby Buddha. And it marks like when the baby Buddha was born, a shower came down from the sky. Actually, I think I believe that because things happen that way. So this book, the Lanka Avatara Sutra, is very interesting. And at the same time, it was what Bodhidharma handed to his successor, Hugo. The only book. And he says, this book contains everything. It's very interesting because Lanka is Sri Lanka, okay? Sri is holy, sacred. Lanka is hard to get. And why is it hard to get? Someone must have got it. But why is it hard to get? Because you're always grasping at the imaginary projection that you've created through your mind. It's a fictitious world. It's a projection of mind. And this is what Lanka Avatar Sutra talks about. In fact, I'm just learning like you, and over the years, the last maybe 10 years, I've been putting a lot of emphasis on Vashubandhu's 30 verses, and that is mind only, consciousness only. So you must understand this. Otherwise, you will live in the appearance of mere manifestation. What you've made up. It's not real. And the reality is when you have a direct experience between subject and object, a direct physical and mental experience in subject and object, that the subject becomes the subject and the object becomes the object. Form becomes form, emptiness becomes emptiness. That's your direct experience. And also, you probably had this experience many times, but you don't know it, and you're yet to realize it. Because how could you have something that you didn't have? It's interesting, huh? That's why it's ungraspable, because you don't have it. You're looking outside of yourself, trying to get it, uh, or push it away, or whatever you're doing. So there are this is just a few of the things that the sutras is it's really beautiful. Every sutra is like a Buddhist teaching, and the Buddha Dharma is in accord with the universe. That's what makes it great. It's not man-made. Every sutra teaches these truths, but because every sutra responds to the longing of beings, to our longing. And we have to know what that longing is. And everybody is longing, but you manifest it in different ways. So this is just few of the things that all sutras talk about. Emptiness, and emptiness is the nature of everything and every non-thing. That's the essence, the essential nature of everything. I think in high school, uh, my friend and I would go out in his, when was that? That was 1953. Most of you weren't even born. 1953, and sit out in the evening and look at the sky. He had a blue Ford convertible. And we would talk about what is the essence, what is it in that ties everything together, and we concluded space. That's pretty close. But that was the idea. Okay, so emptiness is seems like a negative connotation, but also if you're troubled with the word, just say suchness. This suchness or this stuff is in everything and non-thing. Okay, so we get past that. Non-arising. This is what CTR Trungpa used to do all the time, and also Suzuki Roshi. Non-arising, the transmission of non-arising. But I wasn't aware of it. Non-arising means no thinking, no thoughts come up. One thought maybe in a long while. That's clarifying the mind. Two thoughts is thinking. Suchness, non-arising, non-dual, and without self-existence. Without self, meaning that there's no self. There's no Coco, there's no Carol. Those are just names of who we think we are and who other people think you are. So this no self, uh, you could just say no self-centeredness or no ego, no small self, no conditioned self. Okay, I'll just read you this. It's a dialogue between Buddha and Mahamati. It's very beautiful and it's very open, and all the bodhisattvas are listening. They he doesn't put down the Theravada. He doesn't say that they're lower, because the Buddha Dharma built on all these traditions, even Hinduism, Confucianism, Taoism. It built, and it became this unrivalness and great joy. Okay, so so the Bhagavan, that's another name for Buddha. The Bhagavan mentioned to Mahamati. This is the dialogue throughout the whole book, and all the bodhisattvas are listening, and you are listening. The teaching of emptiness, the teaching of suchness, non-arising, non-duality, and the absence of self-existence pervades all the sutras. They were spoken by the Buddha. Again, every sutra teaches these truths, but because every sutra responds to the longing of living beings. That's the whole point. Responds to the longing of living beings. They differ as how they express these truths, which are not really in the words, but as the sight of a mirage confuses a herd of deer, whereby the deer imagine the appearance of water where there is no water. Likewise, the teachings of the sutras are meant to gladden people's hearts. This is the purpose of the teaching of the sutra, is to gladden the hearts of living beings. But Buddha knowledge is not found in the words. Therefore, trust the meaning and don't change or don't cling to the words. Okay. So there was one more after no self is again mine only. And so in your meditation, in your zazen, uh, and there's lots of zazen, the the uh, the full lotus posture in sitting. Okay, so you can't sit full lotus, but in sitting itself is great because it frees yourself. You're liberated from yourself. Yourself is bound in yourself, imprison yourself. And it's through the sitting where someday you will see uh, like the five skandhas that we chant every day in the Heart Sutra. Or I used to explain that they were held apart so they don't, once they activate, they go together and they create the ego. This is our point of view. You create, so in zazen, because you're not interested in thinking, you're not interested in anything. So when a good posture, when you sit down and you're upright and your belly is forward, your mind and body are in accord. And when it's in accord, there's not much thinking. And especially when you go to the breath, you breathe through the Tanden Kikai. The Tanden Kikai is two fingers beneath your navel. And the Tanden is humanity's field of essence. And the Kikai exists within that. That's an inch and a half below the navel. Ki is like chi, tai chi, spirit, vigor, vitality. And Kai is ocean. The ocean of vitality exists within the Tanden. So that's the front. And many years I believe I breathed through the front, but I forgot the front has a back. But when you start breathing through both places, you will find where the mind dwells, because it starts short circuiting the thinking mind. And so when your belly fills with air and you're imagining the air going through your liver and kidneys, and then when this is all an inhalation breath, so your diaphragm is full, and then you, whatever position you direct the exhalation down to your knees or to your feet or to your rear, whatever you're sitting on, down, and then when it reaches that, then you push down, and it's kind of an extra exhale. But the mind has already stopped. Just like the Jakusho, at the end of the Jakusho, your mind is stopped. Most people experience this. But how many times do you exhale in one zazen? How many times do you exhale in one day? It's there, but we don't know it. We're not aware of it. So when we're not aware of it, it does not accumulate. And we are yet to realize it. And also, a teacher can point it out. So we'll just do um, the no self, as the Bhagavan is speaking to Mahamati with all the bodhisattvas listening. He says, we should become adept at examining the two kinds of phenomena that have no self. And what are the two kinds? Neither beings nor dharmas have a self. Dharmas meaning things. You cannot find any self in dharmas or in living beings. And one of the reasons is impermanency. Everything is changing, instant by instant by instant. Nothing is permanent. Yes, so it's not just in yourself, but also in things, because those things are separated. Self means permanency. It means things are always the same. Things continue the same. Right? And we are separated from the objective world. We have separated ourselves from objective world. That's why all this crazy world that we see all around us, we have no idea, but we have the same mother. But Coco said one time that the dogs that come from the same family do not fight over food. We come from the same family. Why are we killing ourselves? And how does this happen? The assemblage of the skandhas when they start interacting. Uh, okay, they're held apart, so they're inactive, and when we're sitting, I remember Suzuki Roshi says the first stage of sitting is that you're sitting upright, your body, your breath, your body, and mind are in accord. There's harmony, so there's no curiosity because you're sitting. This is the activity. This is the only activity. You're not interested in anything. You're not forcing yourself. This is what you choose. This is the utmost importance. So you're just sitting. So you're not interested in entertaining. You're not interested in projection. You're not interested in anything. So that is a good start. That's the first stage. The second two stages is pleasurable, is blissful. Body, mind, and accord brings you a kind of happiness. You have to have these experiences. It brings you happiness. And then later on, your body drops off. Your mind, the third level, your mind remains luminous. And then the fourth one is there's nothing. You dissolve. The ego dissolves. And you go to emptiness, or you go to suchness. Those are the four stages. For the Theravada tradition, it's the same. For Kagyu, it's the same. For Soto Zen, it's the same. And then, maybe just before the fourth ends, there's a very wondrous feeling that it's called Toji, where things are impartial, impartiality. Things have equal value in this entire room, even a speck of dust to the brilliance of Buddha's flag. It's the same value. Nothing is better than, or nothing is worse. Each has its same value. That's Toji. And that's why Suzuki Roshi used to say, he used to point Buddha, 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 Buddha everywhere. Each thing has the same value. And so the skandhas arises from our ignorance because we don't know about it. Karma, desire, and includes neither a self nor anything that belongs to a self. In our tradition, there's no self found there in the skandhas. As the grasping attachment of senses as the eye to form gives rise to consciousness and the alaya, and the world of objects that are perceptions of one's own mind are fabricated and manifested from one's own projection. We're creating our own projection. They change because of impermanency and disappear in each moment, like a river or a seed or a candle or the wind or a cloud. Restless like a monkey, attracted to impurities like a fly, insatiable like the wind-blown fire. They move like water wheels through life after life and bodily form after bodily form, impelled by habit energy without beginning, like figures produced by some sort of magic trick or spell or mechanical device. To be skilled in knowledge of such appearances means to know that beings have no self. And there's two more paragraphs on this page. Mahamati says, and what does it mean to know that dharmas have no self? It means to be aware that the self-existence of the skandhas are devoid of self, or anything that belongs to a self, that the skandhas are assemblages tied to desire and karma, and that they arise from the interplay of conditions but are themselves passive. And all dharmas are like this. Through the power of imagination, fools give rise to erroneous projections devoid of individual or shared characteristics, but not the wise, because they transcend the mind, the will, and consciousness. I have to, and how did they, how do they do that? They do it in zazen without thinking. The thinking causes everything. Discrimination, right? It causes a rising, it causes projection. So no thinking. Such as, well, a very difficult thing to do for living beings to be trained into think. You always got to think. Maybe just as difficult as making a good apple pie. Very simple, but very difficult. It takes lots of zazen for this great insight to happen. Lots of zazen, but good zazen. Not just making zazen because you don't do anything. That's not thinking. I'm sitting, but not even that idea. You can't have that idea. And you can't have any idea. Not doing good, not doing dharma. Mahamati, bodhisattvas should become adept at seeing no self in anything at all. Bodhisattvas who become adept at seeing no self in the Dharma soon gain an insight into the freedom from our projection, from your projection, that characterizes the initial bodhisattva stage. There's a footnote, 264. If the eighth stage is the initial stage of the bodhisattva path, then the ninth would be the final stage. That's the end of being a bodhisattva. The rest is Tathagata, Buddha. There are 10 stages, right? As the Buddhist says, gone beyond the bodhisattva stage. The ninth stage is called good wisdom. And the 10th stage is called the Dharma cloud stage. That's the final stage. They are traditionally listed as the last two stages of the Bodhisattva path. That's how much work we have to do. But it's good work. I think maybe that's enough. And if you have some questions, please ask. Hard to ask.
Roshi, so when you say we're not interested in anything, you're talking about initially taking an attitude, like training yourself and taking an attitude as you sit down until it becomes natural.
Yeah.
Because often I sit because it's good for me and it's 8 o'clock, it's time to sit. I'm very interested in what I'm thinking about. And so I kind of think about it for a half hour and get frustrated because I'm trying to breathe and make it settle, but it doesn't want to settle.
Yeah. Yeah. If it doesn't want to settle, you should just give up the technique, the method. Just relax. Let everything go.
But I often think you talk about being a block of wood or an old incenser, and you're not concerned with comings and goings of the universe. You're just
you could picture
doing
that.
exactly this. Yeah.
Being an old block of wood, no use for anyone. That's the best. Because we always want to be useful, or do we? We want to help people and be useful or know things, but useless. And when you're useless, that's how a tree gets to be real big, because it's useless. No one will chop it down. Yeah.
Roshi, when you speak of good wisdom, that applies bad wisdom and then back to duality?
No, good is not opposed to bad. Yeah. But in people live in dualism. That's why they suffer, because they don't understand the relationship between subject and object. And what was your question again?
Oh, it just seemed like there's not a value to that. Wisdom is wisdom.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, I mean, good sort of infers bad or the opposite, and it's like back to the beginning.
Yeah. See, okay, wisdom, and what would be the opposite of wisdom? Ignorance?
Ignorance.
Okay. But every opposite has a cloud, a sunny sky, but a dark light, old and new, but we've separated it. If it didn't have the opposites, the whole universe would collapse. And so the skandhas, there's a little, in fact, the skandhas in kanji, in Chinese and Japanese, is 5 bundles. Now, how did the Chinese and Japanese get 5 bundles? Skandhas means scattering. The mind is confusion. The calculator is not clear. It means scattering. But there's a bundle within the scattering, and that's how it operates. And so, if you're sitting, if you've been sitting a long time, you're not concerned about the skandhas. They come and they go because nothing is permanent. And eventually, you allow the skandhas to do what they do, but you don't. You just observe it, and you can do that in life. But you're not actively involved in it, and then it runs out of energy, and then the bundles appear, and it holds it together. That's what happens. So isn't that something? Thank you.
Roshi, when we talk about not to think, right? One can easily get stuck in that, let's say, emptiness. And because it feels so wonderful, it's a way.
Oh, I'm not saying thinking is bad.
No, but so when we, it has to, I want to have to be a combination because we very easily, because it feels so wonderful, get into that no thinking that is, you know, a little blank, right? And but you know, but you have to be infused with that wisdom, and that wisdom, it, I'm not sure if that only comes from the sitting itself. It has to, our perception has to be corrected. You know, have to, you know, we have to see the reality as it is, right? With the combination of the sitting, right? So I think I've a long time liked that no thinking so much that it kind of became passive, where to, in a way, to hide and not go, not, you know, open up, not evolving.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not careful, it can
Yeah.
kind of go the other way.
Yeah, that's not no thinking I'm thinking about. The no thinking is expansive. It also moves forward. It doesn't go back. It's very creative, very direct, very open, clear.
So how does one not get stuck in emptiness?
In
of
what?
it? How does one not get stuck in emptiness?
In emptiness? Well, you could ask me.
That's what I did.
Answer. Okay. So I have an announcement to make. Oh, in September the 1st and 2nd is the Shinsan Shiki. So this is a really important ceremony. After 50 years, Shinko and I will step over to the wisdom seat holder, and Nyoze will be the new abbot. So this is really important after 50 years of being here on the mountain. Okay? And please come next, not the week after next, but 2 weeks from now, there's what a sewing retreat, and it's traditional Soto tradition. They sew the Nyoho-e, the Buddha's robe, for the new abbot. The Sangha does, and anyone can come, even if you have no experience in sewing. Please come, and the stitches don't. It's kind of an interesting stitch. It's backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. But maybe this is how life is, backwards and forwards. In our life, we want to go forward, 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 but you go backwards and you go forwards. Anyway, okay, and you can look at our website. So we welcome anyone to do this. Actually, it's a Neo means as it is. Ho is Dharma. Nyoho A is garment, the robe. So it's Buddha's robe. We're creating and sewing. Okay, and we need volunteers to maintain the 81 acres. We've done this over 50 years, but we need help. And there are volunteers for all kinds of things, you know. But this is for the liberation of living beings. It's not for profit. this is unusual request. Um, for the work leader, they're probably, or the student probably overburdened with work, but there'll always be work. But this work is different for the liberation of living beings. So you can contact the office and sign up immediately. Okay. If you haven't come for the ceremony, Buddha's birth, uh, shrine is out there. Please pour some water. And you know what? I forgot to mention this to people. I noticed that in our ceremony, the water is getting less and less because it's sacred water from Tibet or from the Six Ancestors Temple. I mean, this is really sacred water. But I forgot that the abbot can bless the water and make it pure. This is scientific. Isn't it something? I forgot that myself. So you can pour lots of water in there, and the abbot, he or she will say something, and the water will listen. The water, yes, water is listening. It can record any kind of language. It, it if I'm speaking Russian or Polish, it can it can answer me. The water tastes the same. It quenches our thirst. It's really great. So the water, we can put a lot of water in the dish, and it will be purified. And when it's in the ceremony when we sprinkle the water, because it's still, when the water hits you, it does something, right? Okay. Okay. Thank you.